what's the latest in Europe? That's the hot spot.
Well, keep in mind, there was a major turning point that came over the last couple of days, and that is there are now more confirmed cases and more deaths outside of China than within China. Of course, this originated in China, or I won't say that definitively. Of course, it first came up in China, of course, and they had to battle it weeks in advance of the rest of the world. Keep in mind now, we have 164,994 cases worldwide, confirmed cases. 84,181 of those, more than half, are outside of China now. So that tells you how it's spreading beyond China. And a lot of these economies and countries had a lot of time, a lot of head start, that is, to start battling it. China had to think on its feet from the very beginning, and some say it was draconian measures. Well, now Europe is starting to do some of what people would say are draconian measures, whether it's Germany putting up restrictions on its borders with France, with Luxembourg, and Denmark and other places. You know, look at the numbers just overnight, David. Switzerland up 62% in the number of confirmed cases. Poland, okay, it's a small base, but up 63%. Spain, that's a huge, nasty outbreak there, up 35% in the number of confirmed cases overnight. The UK, that's a whole nother ball of wax because it's been highly criticized for its response so far. Schools are not shut down, and they're looking at not necessarily preventing the outbreak, but more focusing on containing it. Their cases are up by some 20%. 35 dead in the UK as well. And I mentioned, of course, Germany, looking at those border controls. Germany has 12 deaths, 4,838 cases.
Yeah, and you know, there seems to be more travel restrictions across the globe right now, Steve. What new steps are we seeing in Asia in particular?
Yeah, I mean, of course, we've seen Hong Kong just last night issue a new red alert, expanding the red alert that was in place on South Korea, Hokkaido in Japan, also China. But now it's including the United States, the UK, Egypt, and one other country. I'm looking at the screen here. Well, I can't seem to find it. But anyway, they have actually increased it, so requiring a 2-week quarantine for those returning from those red spots, if you will. So red alert in Hong Kong. And of course, we've seen other places, Australia, New Zealand, as of midnight earlier this morning, Australia also requiring a 14-day basically lockdown, if you will, or isolation is what they're calling it, for all international arrivals to Australia. New Zealand did a similar step as well. We're seeing Vietnam, no visas are going to be issued for those who have been in Europe for the last couple of weeks. South Korea, we're seeing 76 new cases. But one thing I might add about South Korea, like we've seen in China, we've seen a slowdown in the number of cases. All-time low, 76 new cases, is an all-time new daily tally, low, I should say, because back in the late February, we were seeing 500 cases a day. Or several hundred cases a day. So they've slowed that down. And they're saying now it's the 3rd day in a row that we've had more patients released from hospital than new cases. So there is some bright spots, but other countries and economies in this part of the world, of course, are still playing a little bit of catch up.